Welcome back to the deep dive. We're your shortcut to getting, deeply knowledgeable fast. If you've ever looked at your digital marketing spend or just, scrolled through social media and wondered why people act so differently online compared to real life, why it all feels a bit like a black box, then you're definitely in the right place today. We're going beyond those tired old user labels. We're trying to map the psychological DNA of the digital consumer.
Yeah, and our guide for this deep dive is actually a single, really insightful piece of research. It's a detailed industry report from the Clout Index Research Institute. It's called the 2025 China Social Media User Personality Type Panorama Insight. Quite a mouthful, but important. The whole point of this research, its mission, was to make a pretty big shift to get past just demographics or, basic interest tags and really understand the psychological reasons, the motives behind how people behave online, specifically looking towards 2025.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. How did we get here? We didn't always think this way, right? For ages, it felt like we were stuck in the demographic era, say roughly 2000 to 2020, age, where someone lives, gender, pretty basic stuff. And honestly, it was crude, wasn't it? It just lumped huge groups together, which meant tons of wasted resources because, people within those groups are massively different.
Incredibly inefficient.
Yeah.
But, things evolved. We got a bit smarter, technologically speaking. Then we moved into what the report calls the behavioral and interest era. This is more recent, like 2020 up to now, maybe 2025. This is the world of algorithms. You get tagged maybe as a tech hobbyist or a travel enthusiast. And this was better, definitely. It gave us the what people click on, what content they seem to like or save. But it completely missed the why. That travel enthusiast, were they actually planning a trip, doing serious research? Or were they just, stressed at work and clicking on fancy villas for a bit of escapism? The motive, still totally unclear.
Okay. And that why is the real puzzle. And this report seems to argue that the reason it's so hard to grasp is, the person you are online isn't quite the same person offline.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. The report talks about two states of being, almost. Your offline personality, that's the stable you. You're constrained by, your job, social expectations, maybe a mortgage. Real world stuff, that's your ground state. It's relatively predictable.
Okay, the ground state, like baseline reality.
Right, but then you go online, onto social media, and that triggers the excited state.
Excited state, sounds energetic.
It is. It's amplified by everything happening on these platforms. Constant stimulation, notifications, immediate social feedback, likes, comments. Plus, you have algorithms pushing more extreme content your way, and often there's a feeling of anonymity, or at least less direct accountability. So this whole digital environment, this field, removes a lot of those ground state constraints, and it allows certain preferences, maybe ones that are usually suppressed, or maybe just shallow interests, to get really amplified.
I get the science analogy, ground state, excited state, but is this just a complicated way of saying people act differently online? We kind of knew that, right? What makes this analysis predictive? How does it help us actually anticipate behavior, not just describe it after the fact?
That's a really fair point. The predictive power isn't just that behavior changes, but how drastically and how specifically it changes because of that online context. The report gives concrete examples. Think about someone who's maybe quite socially anxious in person, right? Really struggles in groups. Online, that same person might become this incredibly active fan leader, organizing huge online events, coordinating maybe thousands of people. Total transformation. Or, another example they use, someone known for being super frugal in their daily life, pinches every penny, but put them in a live stream shopping event. Suddenly they're making instant decisive impulse buys, click, click, done. It's this radical behavioral split, as the report calls it. And that's why tools designed for the offline ground state, like general personality test, they just can't accurately map this online excited state reality.
Okay, that clicks. It's not just a slight shift. The environment can trigger a fundamentally different operational mode, almost a different persona. So if the old tools like MBTI or whatever don't work for this online world, we need something new. Which I guess brings us to this top clout type indicator, the TKTI.
Precisely. TKTI is designed specifically to map observable behavior within that social media context. It's not really concerned with whether you identify as an introvert in your real life. It cares about what you do online. Are you constantly checking feeds? Are you analyzing content deeply? Are you jumping between topics? It's situational. It uses very specific labels, and it's built entirely to interpret and define these digital actions, regardless of your offline ground state.
Right, and it breaks down into 4 main dimensions. Is that it? And each has 2 sides, giving us 16 types.
That's the structure. 4 core dimensions, each with 2 opposing indicators. Let's walk through them because they're the building blocks. First up is the most basic interaction. Usage activity. How much are you actually using the platform? Are you H for highly immersed, like constantly online, checking notifications, the kind of person they call a red dot annihilator, always clearing those badges? Or are you L for low frequency browsing, more detached, maybe a silent follower, just dipping in and out occasionally?
Okay, H for high, L for low frequency. Simple enough. What's next?
Second is content cognition. Once you're there, how do you actually process the information you see? Are you P for sensory perception, meaning you rely more on visuals, aesthetics, emotions, the general vibe, kind of a heart-driven approach? Or are you A for deep analysis, driven more by logic, evidence, practical value, data, a brain-driven consumption style?
Interesting. So H and P together, HP would be someone who's online a lot and reacts quickly based on feelings or visuals, while an LA would be someone who's rarely online, but when they are, they're carefully analyzing the facts. That already paints a picture. Okay, what about the other two? Interests and buying.
Exactly. The third dimension is interest tendency. Where do you focus your attention? Are you F for vertical focus? You go deep into one specific area like a strong interest black hole. You're loyal to that topic, maybe ignore trends outside it. Or are you M for multifaceted exploration? You're broad, you jump between different fields, connect ideas, actively look beyond your usual algorithm bubble, like exploring a whole galaxy of interests, a star sea.
Deep like a well. F or wide like the sea. Got it.
Yeah.
And the last one, decision making.
The fourth is consumption decision. When it actually comes time to buy something or commit to something based on what you've seen, how do you decide? Are you D for impulsive decisive? Quick decisions, often emotionally driven, easily sparked, like easily flammable. Or are you R for rational prudent? You're cautious, risk averse, you hit the brakes. Your decision process is long, involves a lot of evaluation.
HL for activity, PA for how you think, FM for interest range, and DR for how you buy. Okay, so you combine those and you get a 4-letter code, like HPMD or LAFR, that describes a specific online personality type. Let's make this concrete. Can we look at a few specific examples from the report, maybe some contrasting ones?
Absolutely. Let's start with one that really embodies that sort of unrestrained, excited state we talked about. This is the HPMD. They call it the hotspot perpetual motion machine.
HPMD. High immersion, sensor perception, multifaceted interests, impulsive decisions. Wow, that sounds exhausting. Like pure digital dopamine chasing.
That's pretty much it. Their core drive seems to be this relentless pursuit of novelty, instant gratification, and effortless pleasure. They explore everything, multifaceted with very little critical thinking, sensory. They chase every trend, buy things on a whim, impulsive. And the data backs this up strongly. The report found they have 163% agreement, which is huge. They have 3-minute enthusiasm for things, fleeting interest, and 168% agreement that they use social media mainly for emotional release or relaxation, not for gaining deep knowledge. They're high volume, but maybe low depth users.
Okay, the perpetual motion machine, burning bright and fast. What about someone completely different?
Let's swing to the other side. Consider the IMR. That's the academic hunter.
HAMR, high immersion, so still online a lot. But deep analysis, multifaceted interests, and rational decisions. Okay, this sounds like a researcher type.
Exactly. The KMAR is like a knowledge architect. They're deeply immersed, yes, but it's purposeful. They're actively researching and comparing info across different fields, multifaceted, trying to build systems of understanding, analysis. Their drive is intellectual satisfaction, not just fleeting pleasure. But that R, the rational decision-making, means buying something is a marathon for them. They need all the facts, they compare everything, always looking for the absolute best zero-risk option. The report notes they have a negative 52% agreement with regretting impulse purchases, meaning they basically never make them. Highly engaged, very valuable users, but incredibly hard to rush into a decision.
Fascinating contrast. One driven by impulse, the other by intense scrutiny. Okay, give us one more, maybe one that seems a bit contradictory, to show how these dimensions combine in unexpected ways.
Good idea. Let's look at the LAFD, the mysterious treasure appraiser.
LAFD. Low frequency browsing, deep analysis, vertical focus, and impulsive decision. Wait, low frequency and analytical, but impulsive. How does that work? That seems odd.
This type is a perfect illustration of why TKTI is nuanced. It shows the difference between an impulse driven by external hype and one driven by internal conviction. The LAFD is an expert, but in a very narrow field. Vertical focus. They operate from their high-walled castle of knowledge. They aren't online much, low frequency. They also don't interact much. The report says they agree, mandated 93%, that they respond to friend requests online. Very selective engagement. However, when they do decide to buy something within their area of expertise, It's instant, impulsive.
So it's not impulsive like the HPMD who gets swept up in the moment.
Exactly right. It's not FOMO, it's not marketing hype. Their impulse comes from knowledge confidence. Because they've done so much deep analysis, A, in their specific niche, F, the moment they see something that meets their incredibly high internal standards, they know instantly it's right. The decision is fast because the evaluation work was already done maybe months or years before. They don't need persuading by external factors. They just need confirmation that the specific item matches their pre-existing criteria. It's the impulse of an expert, not a trend chaser.
Wow, okay. That really highlights how looking at these combinations gives a much richer picture than just impulsive or analytical on its own. So shifting from seeing users as these static categories to these dynamic, motivated actors in an excited state, this has to change how businesses operate online, right? What does this TKTI framework actually mean for, say, social media platforms themselves or for brands trying to connect with users?
It has huge implications. For platforms, TKTI acts almost like a physical examination report. It's a diagnostic tool for platform health. Imagine a platform finds its user base is overwhelmingly HPMDs, the hotspot perpetual motion machines. Right. What does that signal? Well, yes, high engagement metrics, lots of activity, but it might also signal shallow content consumption, users stuck in severe information cocoons, maybe high churn. That could be an unstable, potentially unhealthy ecosystem long term.
Okay, so the mix of types matters.
Absolutely. Conversely, if a platform sees a steady rise in users like the HMRs, the academic hunters, or other analytical rational types, that suggests a maturing ecosystem. It indicates the platform is fostering deeper engagement, providing real value, building a more sustainable user base. The distribution of TKTI types tells the platform what kind of digital environment it's actually cultivating.
And for brands or creators trying to reach these different types, the old ways of targeting are clearly not enough.
Not at all. The old map based on demographics or simple interests is basically useless for navigating this excited state landscape. TKTI demands a new approach. The report suggests a strategy based on 3 penetrations to actually communicate effectively.
Okay, 3 penetrations. What's the first one?
First is motive penetration. This means digging deeper than the surface behavior to understand the true psychological need or subtext behind what a user says or does. For example, take a user who fits the low-frequency rational profile, L plus R. If they say something like, I'll consider it, what they really mean is probably, I don't have enough evidence yet. Show me more proof, more data. But if a high-frequency impulsive user, H plus D, says the exact same words, I'll consider it, their underlying motive is likely totally different. It might be, this isn't exciting enough right now. Create some urgency. Give me a limited time offer. Make me feel like I need it now. Same words, radically different psychological drivers. You have to penetrate the motive.
Right. Understand the real question or need behind the statement. What's the second penetration?
Second is touchpoint penetration. This is about choosing the right messenger or channel to deliver your message, because different TKTI types trust different sources. Think about those highly analytical, maybe vertically focused types like F plus A. Who do they trust? Probably technical experts, people who present clear logic, data, and proven results. They want the professor, the engineer. But the more multifaceted, sensory-driven types, N plus P, they might respond better to influencers known for aesthetics, charisma, storytelling, or celebrity endorsements. They connect with the vibe, the personality. So your user's TKTI profile dictates who is the most credible touch point for your message.
Match the messenger to the receiver's mindset. Makes sense. And the third penetration?
Finally, there's language penetration. This is about speaking the user's specific value language. What terms, concepts, and benefits actually resonate with them? If you're talking to that highly analytical, rational type, maybe an HER or similar, you need to use their language. Talk about specifications, parameters, technical certifications, long-term ROI, efficiency gains. That's what they value. But if you're talking to that impulsive perpetual motion machine, the HPMD, you use their language. Limited time offers, flash sales, exclusive access, don't miss out, novelty fun. TKTI essentially allows you to translate a general marketing message into highly specific, targeted conversion instructions tailored to the listener's psychological triggers.
Motive, touchpoint, language. Penetrating those 3 layers seems crucial. Yeah. This has been genuinely illuminating, a really necessary deep dive, I think, into where digital identity is heading. Okay, let's try to wrap this up for everyone listening. What are the absolute key takeaways? Let's summarize the 3 most important discoveries and the value they offer.
Yeah, I think we've covered some fundamental shifts in how we need to view online behavior.
Okay, discovery 1 for me has to be that core concept. The digital self operates in this dynamic, unstable, excited state. It's fundamentally different from our more stable offline ground state. And it's the context of social media, the algorithms, the anonymity, the constant feedback loops that's the main thing driving this behavioral split.
Agreed. Discovery 2 is the measurement breakthrough, the TKTI framework itself. It gives us a specific, actionable system built for the online world. It measures the psychological motivations behind what people do online using those 4 dimensions: HL activity, PA cognition, FM interest, and DR decision. And this allows for targeting and understanding that's far more predictive and nuanced than just looking at, what topic someone clicked on last week.
And that leads straight into Discovery 3. The strategic value. This isn't just academic theory. TKTI is a practical tool. For platforms, it's a diagnostic, a health report for their user ecosystem. Are they cultivating depth or just churn?
And for brands, for creators, for anyone trying to communicate online, it provides that 3 penetrations: strategy, motive, touchpoint, language. It turns vague outreach into really specific, effective communication designed for how people actually think and act online.
Absolutely.
And maybe one final thought to leave you with, something to reflect on personally. We've talked about how this high stimulation social media environment shapes behavior. It can lead to genuine learning and connection, sure, but it can also create cognitive dissonance or just reinforce those quick hit reward circuits. So maybe take a look at your own digital habits, your saved posts, those articles you meant to read, maybe your abandoned shopping carts. Is your online space becoming a kind of cyber storage room, just full of fleeting ideas, half-baked intentions, and impulse clicks you forgot about? Or are you consciously building it into a functioning knowledge base, something organized, useful, and ready for real application in your life or work? Something to consider.
A really vital question to ask ourselves before we reflexively hit refresh again. Thank you for diving deep with us today. Hopefully you can start using this TKTI lens to observe your own digital world and maybe the behavior of others online with a bit more clarity. We'll talk to you next time on The Deep Dive.